Good evening, everybody. I hope that you guys are good this evening. So this evening we will be having a look at USD JPY. And yeah, without wasting any further time, let's get straight into the chart. So you guys can see that I've got the monthly chart open, and the first thing that I can see on this particular chart is that we had a very nice W structure in this region over here, with the neckline being at around this region more or less, right? We saw price break into the upside of that neckline. However, we are yet to still see price come back to the neckline to retest it, and that is because when it comes to W structures, ideally we would love to see price break the neckline to the top side and then come back down to retest that neckline, and this is where we would look for buying opportunities. So should price from where it is currently at this level come back to this level, we will indeed be looking for buying opportunities, right? um, so let me just add the actual neckline to that W structure, because it is a very important structure, and I do not want us to forget about it. So just bear with me while I do so. So there goes our neckline more or less. And just remember that necklines are an area and not necessarily an actual line, right? So there we go, right? So what else do we see on the monthly chart that we should be paying attention to? Over and above the fact that we have this W structure, we also have this level over here. It is the previous all-time high, right? And it is now a very strong level of support. So as much as at this point in time we would like price to come back to this level, the most important level is this one, which is a very strong level of support. And we expect price to at least come back to this level to test it, and from here we will also look for possible buying opportunities, right? We will look for possible buying opportunities, and that is because it's a very strong area of support. So I'm just going to mark that area as well, because it is also very much important. Just bear with me while I find my line. Let's see. There we go. 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 So what else do we see on this chart, which is the monthly chart that we should be looking at? So we have this candlestick over here. It is a bearish candlestick with a small body and a long lower wick. So where that candlestick ends at the bottom, there is a lot of liquidity there, and the market at some point needs to actually head down to grab that liquidity. So I'm just also going to mark that level, as it is also very much quite important. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Right, there we go. So what else do we see on this chart that we should be paying attention to? I don't see anything really at this point in time. I'm just going to head down to the weekly chart. So here we are on the weekly chart. I'm just going to zoom in a bit. So what do we see on this chart that we should be paying attention to? Let's see. We can see that price from this level gave us a very strong, or rather gave us very strong bullish momentum in this region, and what that tells me is that a reversal is imminent because of the slope of this actual upward trajectory, right? um I don't see anything further really on this particular chart, except that there seems to be a slight head and shoulders pattern forming in that level, but I think it'll be better visible on the lower time frame, such as the daily time frame, right? So I'm just gonna head to the daily time frame, seeing that I don't see anything much of value on this particular chart. Here we are on the daily time frame. Let's see. Here we are on the daily time frame. The first thing that I'm going to do on this time frame is to add my equidistant channel. Let's see, I would add it in this manner. There we go. There we go. There we go. There goes our equidistant channel. So what else do we see on this chart? So remember on the weekly chart, I said that we might have a potential head and shoulders pattern in the zone, and can you see that it's actually there, right? Let me just redraw it so you guys can see it properly. It goes like this actually, right? With this being the left hand shoulder, this being the head, and this side being the right hand shoulder, and we have the neckline at that level more or less, right? And we saw price breaking to the bottom side. Let me just actually redraw this because I need to make this very important point, right? So we have this pattern, right, which is the head and shoulders pattern, with the neckline being somewhere in this region. So we saw price breaking the neckline to the bottom of that neckline, and it headed back to the neckline to retest it. So we would have looked for selling opportunities at this level, and that is because when it comes to head and shoulders patterns rather, ideally we would love to see price breaking the neckline to the bottom, and once price has done so, we would love to see it go back to the neckline to test it, and this is where we would look for selling opportunities, right? So similarly, we would have looked for selling opportunities at this point, right? um I'm just gonna add that actual neckline so that we don't forget about it. Just bear with me. The neckline, I would say, is more or less here, and just remember that necklines, just to reiterate and just to stress it, are areas and not an actual line, right? So here we are, right? So as I said, we would have looked for selling opportunities at this level. However, price actually went down, but it seems as though price came back to this area to retest it, right? And something very interesting is currently happening. Number one, we have, as I said, this head and shoulders pattern, right? Number two, we also have a W structure that has formed in that region, with the neckline being at more or less the same area. So at this point in time, it would be very risky to sell at this point, and that is because we have two opposing structures that have their necklines in the same area. So number one, we have that head and shoulders pattern, and number two, we have that W structure um, at that level, and both have necklines in more or less the same level, and we have price being somewhere here. So in as far as the daily chart goes, I think it is risky in as far as buying or selling is concerned. I think the best thing to do is to wait for price, just based on the daily chart, to close above the um the neckline. Ideally, I would love to see price close above the neckline and then head back to the neckline to retest it. And I would look for possible buying opportunities at this point. Or the other option is to wait for price to reject this level again and then look for possible selling opportunities, right? But in as far as these two structures go, I think it's a bit risky in as far as buying or selling goes, right? And based on the daily chart at this point in time, I would not do anything, right? But we're gonna head down to the smaller time frames to see if we can actually find a way around this particular dilemma, right? Anyway, let's proceed. Also, before we do that, let me just point out that because we have this W structure over here, just bear in mind that a lot of traders and investors bought on that second leg of the W structure and put their stop losses just below that structure. And what may be happening is that the market may be creating a trap, knowing that a lot of traders and investors would buy on the second leg of the W and place their stop losses just below, right? Which means we have a whole lot of liquidity sitting at that point. And what we may see happen is, because this level is the neckline of that huge head and shoulders pattern, as well as a very strong area of resistance, price from where it is currently may actually push further down to trigger all of that liquidity that's sitting at this point, and also to finish this head and shoulders pattern. Can you guys see that? I hope that makes sense, right? But as I said, ideally would love to see price come to this level to test the neckline of that huge W structure that we spoke about on the bigger time frames, right? I hope what I've just said makes sense, because it is very much important. Nonetheless, having said all that, let's head down to the H4 chart. Just bear with me. Okay, here we are on the H4 chart. On the H4 chart, I'm just going to fix my lines just to make sure that they are as accurate as can be. Let's see. Okay, that looks good. Okay, there we are. There we go. Right. Here we are on the H4 chart. So what else do we see on this H4 chart that we should be paying attention to? I'm just going to make it bigger. As we said on the daily chart, we have this level over here, right? And currently we can see that it is being tested. The level is being tested by a price, and we might see a possible reversal, because as I said, that huge W structure that I spoke about on the daily chart may be a trap, because there are a whole lot of stop losses that are sitting at this level that the market may grab. So the next thing that I'm going to do, in as far as this particular chart goes of USD JPY, is to add my H4 channel. Let's see, how would I add my H4 channel? Let's see. Just bear with me. I'd add it in this manner. Just bear with me. Okay, there goes our H4 channel, and we can see that it's in a somewhat upward trajectory, right? I'm also gonna add a trend line, a diagonal trend line. I just wanna test something out. Let's see. Okay, I'm just gonna delete that. I don't think it's important at this stage. Okay, there we go. Right. Yeah, so as I said, guys, just based on the H4 chart, we can see that price currently is testing the neckline, and I don't see anything in as far as buying or selling opportunities go. And as I said, what may happen is the market may push further up or reject at this level and then push further down, right? So that is it as far as my analysis goes. However, let me just also point out that we have another smaller W structure over here, with a neckline being over here. Price broke the neckline to the upside and then came back to the neckline to retest it, and yeah, and then pushed further up from there, right, to test this area right here. But as I said, I don't see any buying or selling opportunities, and myself, I don't buy or sell rather on at trend lines because of the touches. Like for example, here we've got a first touch, we've got a third touch, or a rejection, and currently it looks as though we are having another rejection at this point. So I don't sell based on rejections, but I sell, or rather I enter trades based on market structure as well as confirmation, right? So in order for me to sell at this point, I would need further confirmation, and at this point I don't see any confirmation. And as I said, it may be that the market actually wants to continue going up, right? So that is it in as far as my analysis goes. At this point in time, I will not do anything. I would wait. Cheers.